Awesome. So thanks for coming today, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll give a little quick background to you. So you're from Rome, right?
Yeah,
And you study degrees in like composition, musicology, and in cinematography as well, which is
yeah,
like really cool.
yeah.
Maybe if you could give a really quick background on
Oh,
yourself,
yeah,
that would be
sure.
really awesome.
Sure, yeah. Like you said, I got a couple degrees. That's the equivalent of the U.S. bachelor and master's degree in both music composition and production and cinematography. That was the main field of study that I had. And right after the college period, I just started working as a composer, orchestrator, assistant, and stuff like that. And I've been working for you know TV shows, productions, and movies. And after a little while, I just started working on games too. And right after, I got my work visa to get here in LA last year. In the meantime, I was working with some guys from here, like directors, developers, and stuff like that. And yeah, that's basically recently I've been working with Riot Games for one of those. They have new champions sometimes, and so we've been working on a theme for a new champion. And it was great, actually. I mean, the team was awesome, and we had a lot of fun working together, and experimenting something, uh, or having many uh, aspects for the champion to deal with. And at the same time, I'm working with a couple of indie game productions. One is from they are here in California, and another one is from Europe. And of course, for those kind of productions, we are more focused not on not on linear music, like composing a theme song or something like that, but we are creating some interactive music. And that's actually something that I prepared for you guys to see today. And specifically, there's this game that is going to be out in end of October, like October 30, I think. And and for that, we've been making like 12 tracks more or less with interactive music, and I've been implementing them on WWise as well. And yeah, that's me.
Yeah, thank you. That's like really great to hear that you're getting into the interactive space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love to jump into that in a bit. How was your transition? Are you doing more games now recently, it sounds like? Like
Well,
how did you transition into games from the film world?
it wasn't, I wouldn't say it's an actual transition. It's more like I expanded it, you
Yeah.
know. And I've been a gamer since I was a little kid. So I think it was just a matter of time that I would, you know, being interested in writing and producing for games. So I started, talking with some people back when I was still in Europe. And right now I've been working on 4 indie games. Most of them are still in the production, because usually, especially within the games, it could take some time to just get
Yeah.
out with the game, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not, I wouldn't call it a transition, but just being,
Yeah, that's
with
awesome.
my hands on 2 things at the same time. And
Did you have to
I'm a,
network in a different way to like jump into gaming stuff?
uh, no, I mean, I've been, I've been attending some conferences, the usual stuff that you actually make with on the in the film industry. So you talk with people, you just show up and say, hey, that's my music, that's my stuff, I really like the project and stuff like that. But basically, uh, I use LinkedIn a lot for networking. So it's just it's practically the same. And I'm actually working on a film too that's gonna be out like, or at least completed in a month or so. And yeah, that's
Do you use LinkedIn to network for indie games?
yeah. Sometimes it's more with LinkedIn. I was able to get more connections on the film industry. But yeah, I would say they are basically the it's the same approach that I would use in a way. So and actually the transition, like as James was saying, it would be more if we talk about the interactive music, because of course you have to in a way shape your mind in a different way, because when you're talking about just film, you just have your set of scenes, the group of scenes, you just score them, and that's it. You don't have to make like loopable tracks or stuff like that, and that's even before the actual implementation. So for this game, the one that it will be out in a few weeks, I was really happy to work with them, just because I've been able to put my hands on WYs, and not only provide the specific music for them with the right cuts at the beginning and in the end, but just verify it at any stage in WY. So it was really interesting for me. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'd love to jump into that project, but if you could answer one thing real quick,
Yeah.
I think we're all really excited about the theme you wrote for Samira. I've probably listened to it like 20 times. It's just an absolutely beautiful piece, and I
Thank you.
think everyone here has heard it.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, if you could talk about a little bit how the opportunity came about, as well as kind of the process of how you kind of designed, music for this like really fierce, gun wielding, sword wielding, champion, and
Oh
how,
yeah.
what was your
Well,
process for that?
for me, once again, the real difference is between linear and interactive. So with them, we've been working on a linear project, because it was just a theme that they may use it for something inside the game, but it's mostly like promotional, and to get the right feeling for the champion. So the actual process was something very close to everything that I always do for film music. So you just have a bunch of meetings with them. The first one uh, was talking about the nature of the champion, her background, her strengths, the actual, even the look that she has. So in that case, we focused on all of the features of the champion that should have been, they should be put in the music. So, and they had requests, of course, like because they have different different groups of champions. So based on that, you gotta, for example, I wasn't allowed to use like large orchestra or something like that, because it would sound way distant from the nature of the champion itself, not because of how she looks, but just where she comes from, in a way. So um, with that in mind, we just decided what type of instrumentations we should use. We decided even the overall feeling of the track, like the track needed to be uh, with some action features, but not too much, with some Middle Eastern elements, but not too much again, because at any stage the track should sound something like in the middle between ethnic stuff and Western music. So that's why I decided to get, for example, to get a sense of velocity and speed, and even powerful, with some with some different rhythms, like 7/8 or something like that. And because it would give me the idea of her jumping to the left and to the right and killing people with very quickly. So and of course she's got like 2 guns, like big guns, and a sword. So in my mind, I had to figure out how to describe those kind of weapons. And there was even something that they requested to take into consideration. And but like I said, apart from this, it's just the usual things that you would do when you're developing a film score, a film soundtrack. So
how much of the instrumentation was live versus in the box?
Oh, we decided from the beginning to have something like some of the instrumentation was already meant to be live. For example, percussion and a small string ensemble, and guitars as well.
The percussion is live on that track?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a blend, actually. That's a mixture. And we wanted to have the feeling of a live instrumentation, not actually the live performance, So we needed some cool parts for the cello solo. So but actually we just decided before to have something of them, but the last decisions were made right after I finished my mock-up, so that everybody would have the right idea in the team, because they were like I think 20 people in the team. So everybody should be thinking about something that would add something actually with the live performance. So according with this, we just decided to use the little strings ensemble, and some of the guitars that I use, not all of them, for example, and some ethnic guitars as well, and those drums. But for example, for the drums, the big hits are actually virtual. What I wanted to have was the feeling of the live percussion. That's probably the most important thing, especially when it comes to percussion, at least for me. So yeah, we did all that, and the balance between live and virtual was just set with a rough idea from the beginning, but just decided at the end of the mock-up.
So you talked about working in Wise a little bit earlier, and I was wondering how much involvement do you typically have in the production side of a piece? Like, I don't know, in the case of Samira's theme, how involved were you in like mixing decisions or like decisions about virtual instruments?
Oh, talking about Wise, we didn't use it, of course. We just mix it all. I mean, we've been recording, so we actually worked together with the recording studio. But the decisions, talking about decisions about mixing and stuff like that, I have to say that they really trusted me on this. I mean, every time they asked something was more to really listen to my thoughts about the track, rather than saying, all right, what if we do something like that? Not more like how would you do this? So it's been really cool for that, because I was able to control the track anytime. And they were amazing on that. Yeah.
How did you make the initial relationship with Riot?
Oh, I applied for the composer position like months before, like in December. We've been talking. It was extremely nice conversation and the interviews and stuff. Then they just took another direction, and after 2 months, they just showed up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing about that. They it was such an awesome job, like getting the character right. Um, would you be open to sharing your interactive music project with Wise?
I actually have my Cubase project because
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was you know
Yeah, we'd love to learn about like how you're going about making the music interactive in your Cubase project.
yeah, sure. So let me,
Are you able to share your screen?
yeah,
Cool.
you
Awesome.
see it? All right, okay. So basically uh, that's it actually. I mean, when I have the chance, I always love to have everything inside a single project, not, because sometimes, especially with film music, you just have tons of new edits, new stuff, and sometimes it's really hard to take everything inside a single project. But with this one, that's the game that I was talking about. It's a horror game, like a thriller one, and for this one, I've been working in WYs later to make sure that every loop was good, and create the states and and things like the groups as well inside WYs, and then another guy just closed the project, and the made the connection with Unity. So basically, I always try to keep anything organized, as you may see, with marker, several tracks of markers, because depending on the complexity of the stuff. For example, for any level, we had like 3 different situations, and that reflects also in having not just different situations, but something that normal state, alert state, and danger one. So for any section that you are seeing right now, there are not just the instrumentation with audio and MIDI, but also I exported the stems and the final mix, because in that case I have, anytime I got the chance to quickly take a listen to something, if I want to jump to anything. Let's say I wanna, I don't know, maybe just copy this thing and see how it can be with the other with another section, for example. So these sections that you see, they are the actual loops, and what else? I don't know. Uh, yeah. Oh, another thing that I do usually when I have time, of course, is just render in place everything about the MIDI, because I'm more comfortable working with audio tracks when it comes to make some volume adjustments, some pushing somewhere. I mean, I think it's more flexible in a way than having the MIDI playing all the time, performing all the time, not just because of the computer resources, but just for being as fast as possible. And since actually the rendering doesn't take that so much time, it's just easier for me to say, all right, I'm done with synths, for example, in this case. So I'm done with them. I just I export them. I mean, I render them, and then I can just focus on something else, depending on the track that I'm working on. So I can jump from a group to another group, from a layer to another layer, and I already know that if there's this audio portion here, that means that I don't have any problem with the MIDI. So that means that this is ready to go. No matter how I mix, no matter how I want to change something in the final export and in the final mix of the track, but as long as I have an audio file, that means that it could be the final one, especially for instrumentation. And then we just had like a little bit of stingers, just real quick stuff, but that's of course they didn't need to be loopable. So yeah, that's one of one of my ideal projects actually. And
So is
and
the
I'm using,
orchestration
as you may
consistent
see. Oh,
across
sorry.
all of these? Is the orchestration like consistent across all these different
No.
pieces?
It's more or less. It's like maybe I can show you without the MIDI. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm using Italian language, but I think it's
So
pretty
good.
clear anyway. So yeah, as you may see, sometimes we had nothing for guitar pads, or there's always more need in this project. There was always more need of piano. So you can see what instrument it's more used. Just taking a look at this stuff, even with string itself. So yeah, of course, the actual music, it's for this project, I would say it's very consistent. I mean, it's been like more a film soundtrack. So you have, a certain set of instruments, and you don't want it to make things too much different from one another. So, but yeah, of course, sometimes I use more synths, sometimes I just use more piano or pads, or we use the little winds here and there, just to, some add in some color, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and how much testing are you doing to make sure that, one section can flow easily into the next section? Can it switch over on any beat of music, or does it need to wait till a certain point before it transitions?
No, for this project in particular, I I wanted to start with something like, rough ideas, and change them, edit them for different situation, playing around with different instrumentation, so that the whole structure for any track is more or less similar. That means that everything could be easily mixed together, not just in terms of one loop being attachable to the next one, but also sometimes to just add in a vertical layering, just add something from a previous track to the next one. So, and that was more an intention by myself, because we actually, the developer wanted to have like different, like new music as long as the game goes. So yeah, it's been something like really in between a film soundtrack and a game one. Yeah.
How did you handle like reverbs and so forth within this context?
All right. For most of them, I just use the reverb coming from the the patches, but I also just printed they are wet stems. So especially because I am the one mixing them, so at any stage I had control, and I don't I didn't have to care if something it's not good with the reverb, because I was listening to it before I actually started. I mean, I actually started exporting and mixing, so it was extremely flexible from that point of view. But of course, when I'm dealing with external studios to finalize the music, whatever they need, whatever they may need for from me, like dry stamps, wet stamps, or anything in between, is just it's just a matter of having the right routing, and that's it. I usually take like, I don't know, a moment after I'm done with the writing sessions. I mean, after I'm entirely done with the writing, and I just export everything, whether it's wet or not, or dry, and then I deliver the stuff. Yeah.
How did you begin a piece like this?
With this one in particular, I started with piano. I'm a pianist actually, so, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I always start with piano. It's usually I start with drums when I have some, when I know that I have some drums. For example, for Samira, for the track for Riot, I just started with a combination of string ensembles and drums, because with drums you, in a way, if you got, for me at least, from my point of view, if you are inspired by that sound, that instrumentation, that set of drums, is just it can be really fast to create the entire structure of a track. That means that you just have to put notes, and for me, from my way of thinking, putting notes is just the easiest thing actually.
So you did that, the time signature and switches in the Samira track, like through the percussion stuff initially before the melody stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, because I, as soon as I started playing with those instruments, every time I would feel something under my fingers when I was playing on the keyboard with the virtual drums. You sometimes you have just the right feelings of something, and you don't want to change that. You just want to change something in instrumentation. You just want to change something, even with the melody or anything. Especially because with libraries, you guys, I'm sure you know it. Sometimes you just have to change something in the melody, otherwise that library won't work. There's no way to make it feel like a real live performance if for any reason that sample of that single library in those conditions, with the BPM, with the dynamic range, with everything else, it's just not working. So sometimes you just have to change the melody as well. But one thing that you can allow yourself not to change it sometimes. It's just the feeling that you have with that right rhythm. So yeah, whenever for Samira, for example, I just when I got to that 7/8 rhythm, I just said, all right, I'm gonna keep that one. Let's see if I can do something more with that 7/8. And eventually I ended up using even 13/8 because it sounded good. It sounded perfect for that moment, and
I'm glad that I wasn't just going crazy when I was trying to count. I was like, at some moments I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
neither.
awesome.
I mean, I just counted after for the players, not for me. I mean, and of course, I just counted even to create the right timeline, the right time signature for the timeline, of course. But yeah, I took some time before getting to new stuff for the Samira's track. I took some time to just realize what I did in terms of patterns and stuff. But like I said, it was good, so I didn't want to touch it for any reason. I'd say I said, all right, the players would understand somehow.
Andrea, I would really love for you to comment on your approach to nonlinear composing, the differences between how you approach a linear piece versus an interactive piece, and the difficulties that you've come to find in trying to compose for generative pieces, I guess.
All right. So for given this example, the main goal for me when we are talking about interactive music and nonlinear music is just to find out the best way to have the idea of a loopable track right before I start writing or when I'm writing. So that means that sometimes I just have to force myself to just stay on that structure, and that's the perfect opposite of what I did for Samira. For Samira, I didn't care about anything about the structure because I knew that it's not gonna be a non-linear music. with this type of project, I just have to, put myself on the timeline sometimes and just see the right bar, because I was sure that after that bar, the track wouldn't be that loopable as I did for maybe for the previous one, for example. So specifically when we have like here, all these conditions, that means that you got to stay like in a normal state, because your player is going around, nothing happens, all is good. And then to the alert state, that means that you had to add something, and I think it's even visible. So you see there are more layers, way more layers, as we go to the normal state, from the normal state to the danger one, especially here on this other one. So one thing that I do with interactive music and non-linear music, I try to focus on the layering. That means that I can always create something that is that is okay even with two instruments. But then if I have to put something to make new states and create new loops from the previous track, I just have to put something more, and for example, like percussion or some tension with some high synth pads or something like that. And in that case, it's kind of actually a little bit even fast, because that means that you just have to add something to the same structure that you already made. So I always try to keep myself to think about it before I just start to put different tracks.
How do you handle having something memorable in the piece versus like the kind of structure, the layering structure, without having it being too repetitive?
Oh yeah, sure. For this example, actually, starting with the piano and creating the main theme before the interactive, the nonlinear music helped me a lot, because not only in that case, I already had my main theme that was good to, manipulating it after for next track. But also because once I found the right structure for that level or the other one, I just forced myself to include some elements of the theme and some other melodic elements in the new structure. So it's something that to reply to your question, is something that in a way I force myself to stay on that structure, and then creating something and like improvising something that's that, like you said, that's as memorable as possible. So it's it comes a little bit after the structure for me.
Are you allowed to play us some of this music, or is it
I can play it.
restricted? Cool.
Yeah, I can play it.
I'd be curious to hear like the transition between alerts and stuff, and maybe hear like the thinking about that.
Can you actually hear it?
No.
I think, did you click share computer audio when you screen shared?
Oh yeah, actually I also, I got Zoom audio device on Cubase, so, and I actually tested it before, so let me see. Oh, that's why. All right.
Andrea, I think you're
Yeah.
saying something.
Cool.
Okay, I think your mic
Oh,
was.
thank you guys. I'm sorry, I forgot to have a little bit of an explanation about these tracks. But yeah, the game itself is basically a thriller one, and you as a player are searching for your kid. Actually, you are searching for, not for your kid, but for how he disappeared. So, for example, you can see some markers here. That means that in the green state, you are inside a morgue. Then, as soon as you enter and you turn the lights on, there's another state. And when you found some documents inside a drawer or somewhere in a desk, I don't remember, there's something related to your son. So the guy wanted to have something really dramatic and sad that could be good when you're reading something about your vanished son. So in this case, we just created 3 sets, and the little silence that you heard is just because it was simpler for them to just cut the files inside WWise, even after my work on WWise, because we tested everything in Wise, of course, but this would have for them more flexibility to make things for their own, on their own. I can let you hear another if you want, like this other situation. Yeah, this is it. In the red state, there should be a little bit more action too. And you can see the actual atmospheres. It's always the same, but it's not just copied from a structure to another. There are always some little differences. So yeah, even in this case, once again, we just decided to have, like, in the file, just a little bit of a silence for making the transition, not having to get in Cubase for anything else. And of course, that's why I also created some extra tracks with, for example, this outro track, just for having like a little bit of more material for them to just playing around if they wanted to. So yeah.
Sounds awesome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, are you able to tell us the name of this game? I'm very interested in it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not released yet, but it has got I think a Steam page and a website. So it's called The Missing Few.
I'm sorry, one more time.
The Missing Few.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
sure. You're welcome.
Yeah,
It's getting
awesome.
dark in here.
Yeah, so we have about 15 minutes left. I was wondering if any of you guys have any other questions about. Yeah, go ahead, Jonah.
So I have a question about, I guess, Cubase. So I've never used Cubase before. What are some of the advantages to composing in Cubase versus, I don't know, something like Ableton or Reaper?
All right. For me, I started with Cubase, but then I had to not switch, but just use Logic too, because of some clients were using it at the time. Actually, even now, I got some clients, especially from Europe. They are musicians as well, and they are on Logic. I always liked Cubase for its flexibility, especially, for example, with the track and rack, and that's something that Logic, you don't have a VST rack or any other plugin rack in Logic. I mean, you can have, like, for what I know, multi timbral tracks, but it anytime I put my hands on Logic, I see something that it's I get that's the same, of course, but it's not as efficient as I see it in Cubase. And I try to analyze the situation, not just forgetting that I started with Cubase. And it was the similar. I had a similar feeling with Sibelius and Finale. With Sibelius, everything it's been, it's always, for me at least, way faster than Finale. I don't know why, actually, but it's like this. And with Cubase, another thing that I really like is the, once again, the flexibility of the MIDI. And since I really, I do a lot of MIDI programming and stuff, it's just very useful for me to have, for example, all the CC changes and stuff, the parameters changes, and all the rest at a glance inside the MIDI track. And if I want to use the automation outside the MIDI region, I can do it. If I want to just use the automation inside the region, I can do it as well. And that's something that, of course, you can do it, of course, in Logic and all the rest. But visually, it feels for me way even more organized sometimes than for example, Logic or other software. And the thing that I don't like about Cubase is just the score editor. So that's why I always use Sibelius, because there's no way to create a professional looking score with Cubase. Something you can do with Logic. Sometimes if you have to record some, just a couple of guys playing something, it's just it's okay, and it's even actually fast. But not with Cubase. That's the downside for me.
I have some question about Cubase also. I'm a Logic user, and this is new to me.
Yeah.
I've recently started using Reaper, which is great for sound design, and also has a lot of like video compatibility. But I'm curious about sort of two things in this project. One is, did you have video reference when you were doing this, or like a visual component to refer to? And then also, like, is this all on a grid, but just not in the greater like structure of like 16 bar separation? Like, are some things starting at like bar 12, and that's why the sort of start points are not totally on the current grid we see?
Oh, no, I actually, because I always use marker and stuff, I actually don't care if, the most important thing is to start on 1, 3, 5, 9, right, and stuff like that. Never go to, to
I see. When you zoom in, it's more clear.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, there are kind of almost 1,000 bars. That's why. So if you zoom it comes a little bit clearer to see. But yeah, for example here, but it's 191. So it's it's clear anyway, as long as you keep it a little bit. You take a closer look, of course. And but no, for the rest, for example, in this case, we just wanted to make things easy and just use anytime a single BPM, for example. And that I think that's the it's always simpler when you have to deal just with a single time than more than that, even for Wise, because once you set the BPM in Wise for any state, any music segment, any container with 80 BPM, it's just it's done. I mean, you're okay to go.
So was there any video or visual stuff while you were working on this?
Oh yeah. I actually read the entire script of the game because it's an adventure, so there's a story from beginning to end. And I'm in the Discord group, so I always had new images, new implementation of the game, new looks for new characters, the ambience overall. So it's always been really inspiring, For example, I never got references though. But I actually love working with temp track.
Like no musical references?
No musical reference. I mean, just one, because the guy that was developing the game had an old piano music coming from an old radio in the game, and he fell in love with that kind of feeling of a sad song from the past. So, for example, if you hear very quick to the main theme, it's just started really sad. So and I decided, for example, to use two different pianos because the only reference from that old piano song from old radio was the piano wasn't tuned perfectly, and I just decided to have that feeling of even sorrow and nostalgic feeling somehow, and also scary one, having the piano pretty much like a honky tonk or something, so not on the tune.
So it sounds like you were working sometimes while they were still developing, like seeing the references of what they were making and making the music like interactively with them. That's cool.
Yeah. It was extremely good. For example, there's I don't know which track because I don't remember, quite frankly, the name, but there's like an Indian cemetery involved in the game. So I just wanted, when they decided to have an actual Indian background for that music, I just decided to put some percussion, something ethnic that would recall somehow the ethnic feelings and features of for that level. So, but it wasn't decided just before it. I didn't think about adding something like that with this type of music. But since they were developing the possibilities in the game, we just we just decided together. So yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
I love the instrument selection in your songs.
Thank you.
But like, how do you fight the temptation of always searching for that perfect instrument and wasting a lot of time?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Um, I don't know. I mean, I try a lot with an instrument, and when I get to, at least something that it's enough for me, then I just stay there. It's pretty much like when you are mixing. So you take some time, not on the project. So you make sure that your ear just, can breathe somehow, and then you can decide and make better decision right after, because you are clean somehow. So I do the same with the library selections all the time. And another thing that I do is that I don't use templates when I can, because it's pretty limiting for me, especially when you want to, when you want to try something new, but somehow you are stuck with the template, and probably you are just missing a chance to, improve yourself with anything else. But one thing that I do actually is having anything that I make is a preset for the next time, because you never know. So that's a good compromise for me.
That piano tone was very creepy, and I love that it was like, it reminds me of like my mom's, like the piano at my mom's house. It's a little out of tune with the top closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of course. I got one in my here in this room actually.
I thought you had recorded it live, like from that type of situation. Like that was what I was hearing.
Yeah. No, it was inspiring because I played on it, but then for it was a little bit faster to have something, because I already knew that combination with those libraries. That's why. So I would say that rather using templates, I got a really good memory. That's a huge help.
I have a question, Andrea, about interacting with clients and instrumentalists in COVID times during Zoom. How has all of this quarantine social distancing situation affected your work in terms of interpersonal communicating with the developers or perhaps players that are going to be playing on stuff that you've composed?
So, I started working remotely from Italy with some directors and game developers as well. So I didn't feel any real difference between pre-COVID and I was glad to say post-COVID, but I have to say during COVID. So it wasn't that distant or strange for me to deal anytime with just Zoom and online meetings and phone calls, and it always been so natural because I started that way. So actually, the way I prefer, if I had to choose, would be just as much as I can writing conversations, just because you had like a diary of what you said. And it went like this with Riot, for example. We did pretty much everything apart from 3 to 4 meetings. Everything was written. So that's a huge. I mean, for me, it's when I can. For example, when we establish something, so we are. It's clear that we are on the same page on something. It could be better to just get the conversation written, so that anytime you can check back and see what you said. It's just like you don't have to take notes from that conversation,
Where in LA are you?
I'm close to Culver City. Cool. It's actually Culver City. I mean, it's actually LA. So my address is in Los Angeles, but it's very close to the center of to Culver City, to downtown of Culver City.
Cool.
So yeah,
I'm right by USC.
Oh, all right.
Fairly close.
Okay. It's Baldwin Hills. I don't know if you guys know the neighborhood. Yeah. All right. I'm here. So yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks so much for your time today. I'm gonna ask you some quick questions. If you can answer one word, that'll be really awesome. So we love your strings. We would love to know what is your favorite string library.
Oh wow, Cinematic Studio Strings.
And
In
your
this
favorite,
period.
what's that?
In this period. I'm
Okay.
not sure it's gonna be the same in 6 months
Yeah, true.
or next week.
And your favorite composer?
That's, I love everything that has a logical structure in music with a certain aesthetic, and that's good to hear. That's why I couldn't say a good one. I mean, a favorite one, but
is that the same for your? Do you have a favorite musical piece? Musical
Yeah,
composition?
actually, yeah. The Requiem from Gabriel Fauré.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Yeah.
L.A. or Rome?
Oh, L.A.
Oh, okay.
Man, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We are up for time, so thank you so much, Andrea, for your time today. That was absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, it's been so good.
Thank you so much. It was great to meet you.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you. Really good time.
Sounds awesome. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, hope to chat with you again soon. And
perfect. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.